Welcome to the Human Design Professional Analyst Training. This is a path of deep transformation.
There's this placement, and we'll see this as we go through the slides in the different courses, but there's this placement of the knowledge that when you get to learn actually the depth of the knowledge is where, when you're in the analyst training or when you're in these professional courses. And yet, knowing this, whether you're an analyst or certified, or working, if your plan is to work as an analyst or not, the knowledge gives you such a depth of understanding of existence, of capacity to live in the world authentically, which sounds weird, but it is just meaning, like without the distortion, without the shadow world mixing in and taking you away. And if you're someone who really likes to understand layers, then the analyst training is something that will be of benefit, even if your plan isn't to work as an analyst, or to incorporate it into something else that you do, so that certification isn't really going to serve you in some way. So I live this knowledge, and I'm lucky enough to teach it now that people, are interested in classes and to give sessions, but the ability to use this as a way of living in alignment is invaluable. So that's what I'll say.
It really is, and that gives us the why of why you would want to do this if you're not thinking about becoming a professional. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll go ahead and get started.
I started this a long time ago and have been teaching. I taught the foundational courses in the beginning of my teaching, and now I am teaching in the advanced classes, but working together now with Andrea, and this is just totally a delight, where we're going to be able to share each of our projector wisdoms with people who are joining our classes, like the Rave cartography that we'll be doing.
Yeah.
So
what is human design? Human design is the science of differentiation. Basically, simply, what it is it helps you make decisions that you trust. So we have this tribute to Ra here as the founder of the Human Design System. The courses that we teach are the sanctioned, professional, certified International Human Design School classes that you can take individually with individual teachers like ourselves, or at the International Human Design School, which is where Darshana teaches, and she's taught also at Human Design America.
This is, I worked with Ra for the years that I could. Well, I joined or started studying human design in 2005, and Rob left the planet in 2011. And so I had the profound delight of studying with him and working with him and knowing him. And I just really have such a passion for the knowledge that is sourced from his direct access from the voice, and joy and delight that there's others who are individuating out. But I really want to support people in sourcing in, if it's correct, you have to always follow your own strategy and authority, to the knowledge that came through Ra, who was the one who was the filter or the vehicle for the voice. And what you'll see as we go through this also is why you can make decisions that you trust, by using this system. For those of you who are familiar with it or not familiar with it, there's a way to live authentically. And this is a mechanical tool that you can use.
So our goal for today is a prospective analyst orientation, but also for you to be able to meet us if you're considering taking classes and you don't want to become an analyst yet, or you're not sure about that yet. We're going to outline the entire experience for you so that you're able to get a good sense of what it takes, how long it takes, what each of the classes have covered, and then the goal of each of those classes, those courses, what you can expect from them. And we're going to do, as we mentioned, questions and answers at the end.
Each of us has a unique design. Each of us are here to live out an evolving awareness, that we are awareness of that is in a form, and it has a unique expression, and the consciousness field moves through us and bumps into what is fixed and consistently present in us, and moves through as do others that we meet, you know, the aura of others or the energetics of others. And mine's a very open design. I have two anchors, my two channels there, which is the channel of transformation and the channel of judgment. One is logical, collective, and the other one is tribal, called the EO circuit. And so you could say that my thing is the family of mankind, you know, the tribe of mankind. And so that really fits with the human design. I'm a 3/5, like Andrea, you'll see in her slide. So I'm here to really test things, to see if they work, to see how solid they are, to go in, check it out, get out again. And then when I find something that I feel is solid, and my judgment, my capacity for viewing things and seeing that they'll take us to the future and that will thrive and it will bring transformation, especially my channel of transformation comes out of my moon, the gate 54 in the line 4, which is enlightenment and darkenment, the most mystical line we have of all the 64 hexagrams and their lines. So yeah, when you get me showing up in your room, I'm of service towards this, for the understanding and the guidance of awakening to your individual uniqueness and differentiation.
And very supportive you are of that. Here's my design. Most of you who are on this call know me. My name is Andrea. I am a 3/5 projector like Darshana. So we're both here to test the system, to mutate it a bit when we find that those things that really do work, we're here to universalize it to others. My cross is the cross of contagion. I'm in the first quarter of initiation. The first quarter is about mind. So my purpose is fulfilled through contagiating or spreading information, spreading the process of my mind. The particular nuance of that is that my channels or my strengths are about the strength of imagination, of recognizing feelings, of fantasizing and desiring and daydreaming, and then being able to maybe put myself in other people's shoes, to imagine what it would be like to be them in their design, and be able to transmit that when I'm recognized and invited to share my inspiration, my knowing about what it is that they're here for. And that's one of my biggest joys. Besides the fact that I love being a teacher now and being able to take students through the foundations of human design, it's the best way to learn. And I learn so much from my students and the people that are on me with this journey. So I'm really looking forward to meeting more of you if I haven't met you yet already in a class or in a reading. So here we are on the path of professionalism. If you have not taken any classes yet, you're going to start up here at the foundation course. So that's what we're going to cover today. There's so many different opportunities to go into specialties in design, but they all source from having the foundation grounded in your life. First, we begin with living your design. We go to Rave ABCs and cartography. I'm going to be teaching these foundation courses, and then cartography, Darshana and I are going to team teach the next time it comes up. Darshana is going to explain this part.
Yeah, the professional education, how once you've got your foundation in the basics of the body graph and understanding, you know, what you're looking at when you see that funny looking image with all the numbers and lines and things, then when you have a basic understanding of that, then we start going into the depth of it through the professional training. And that can either be through the analyst training, as you see there, or we're going to just touch briefly in on the cosmology, becoming a Rave cosmologist, because when you've taken Rave cartography, then you are qualified to take the Rave cosmology courses to become a teacher of Rave cosmology. And that's the more mystical side. Ra used to call them the gray courses, because it's a bit, you know, it's not black and white. It's sort of in that area that we can't really have any proof of, but it's the information that Ra was given. And so, yeah.
And you know, I have listened to some of those cosmology teachings, and even though he calls them gray courses and very mystical, there's a lot of really practical elements. I particularly love the ability to learn more about the lines and on deeper levels than you learn about them in the foundation courses, as an example.
Yeah, we're existing on all levels, you know, from the most corporal, human, mundane level to the mystical and the etheric, and the cosmology is helping us to make sense of that.
I'm excited to hear you talk about that. In the professional training, we have particular levels or layers of the knowledge that we bring to you in a very specific structure. There's a very particular way that is expressed in order for us to make sure that you have not only that solid foundation, but that the layers adding on make sense to you and they make sense to the person that you're using them with. If you're sharing this with your friends or your family, you're using it in your coaching practice or your counseling practice, or you decide to go full on and have all of this information and decide to become an analyst. The layers are there in that level for a reason. Would you like to comment on that, Darshana?
Well, it's kind of like building a house. You know, you start with your foundation, you start with the most basic things, and that's where living your design. From there, you can actually do a lot. You know, having your type and the strategy and the authority which comes from the definition will make a huge difference. Ra used to say over and over again, he goes, yeah, but everything rolls back to strategy and authority. And then as we then build into it, you begin to understand the complexities and the nuances, how we are each so incredibly differentiated and unique. And that understanding that through the profile analysis, channel descriptions in the biology, the I Ching gate and line full descriptions, and then going into levels 2 and 3 and the certification in 4 of the professional training gives you an understanding of, first we start with everything that goes up through professional level 1. What am I? Who am I? And then what is the other? And that's where we have levels 2 and 3. You know, how does the other influence me and affect me?
And I think looking at this slide, I remember all of this was actually in professional level 1 as review, as reinforcing the foundation that you built, you know, being able to synthesize that in level 1. This is a long course.
Yeah, look at this. Isn't this is the voices design, which is interesting. This is the moment when it began, the information that was being given. And so it's kind of interesting to look at it. But we have 26 activations in our design. We have 13 planetary imprints, 9 centers, 36 channels that we could have. We won't have all of them defined, but we have all of them present in our uniqueness. And the 64 gates, or what are also called hexagrams, and then within that 6 lines, and in that 3 levels of substructure, the color, tone, and base. And this is what you see in this chart here. This is what we call the advanced imaging, where we can actually see right away as we look at it, all the details down to the 3 levels of substructure that is there. And as we learn this, I mean, right now it probably looks like Greek to you, but as we learn it, you begin to be able to look at it and go, okay, there's this, there's that. And you are from that able to support another person in understanding how to live a more authentic life. Yeah, so here's living your design. And as you see, understanding how a chart is created, how to navigate within that, how to start your experiment on the right foot, and to gain inspiration and support. This is an amazing course. It is about living your design, awakening to your design. So here's the book that is the student manual. This is, again, how to discover to live your design. In it, we learn the 9 centers and how they function. Everything is really fundamental when we're starting in living your design. This is what's interesting, because when you reach the end of the professional training in PTL4, you go back to the beginning anyway. I mean, you look at someone's design, you're sitting with them and you're saying, okay, so these are 9 centers. This is how they function. They're either defined or they're open, and depending on what they are is how it's influencing you and how you're expressing yourself. And how they're defined will give you your type and the aura that that type has, the strategy that you will have as that particular type. And then the definition will also give you an authority that you can rely on because it's coming from your definition of what is consistent and reliable within you, your unique definition. Mine is my spleen, my intuitive awareness. Andrea's is her emotional awareness, where she arrives through time with clarity and the richness of the emotional feeling field. This is what we can learn and use to guide us in living our design.
It is the most profound shift to be able to go through this with awareness. This is a class that can be taken over and over again. I've taken it with multiple teachers to be able to have the experience and deepen it. It's really amazing, this course.
Then we go to step 2, after living your design. And these are the 3 steps that you would take for becoming a Living Your Design guide, where you could actually then begin teaching human design in the Living Your Design course. So here's the ABCs, and this is where you learn more about the origins of human design and into the fundamentals that are there, how to piece this all together. That's why it's called the ABCs. And in the next slide, I think we have what the pieces are. ABC, the red and the black, which is, when you look at a body graph, sometimes the lines are red, sometimes they're black. You have a column on the left, which is your design, and a column on the right, which is your personality. You get introduced to some of the core circuits and circuitry. Like I was saying, I'm collective and tribal, and mine's collective logics. Andrea has collective experiential, abstract, sensing circuit, and she has the individual circuitry in her channel of inspiration up between the G center and the throat. You begin to look at those and learn the keynotes for them, like tribal is support, and collective is sharing, and individuality is empowerment. Each time you learn another piece like that, you layer in another understanding of the uniqueness of each individual. So there are prereqs, which is taking Living Your Design and having had a foundation reading so that you're working from a good grasp of your own design. Then we go into the cartography course. This is what Andrea and I will work with. And it would be so wonderful if you can also audit. If you've already taken it and you'd like to see what it's like to have 2 projectors that are 3 5s, teaching this work. It's the 2nd level of the general IHDS education. It is a prerequisite. This is just like what the word says, cartography. This is the map. This is beginning to really make sense of the map. And so it adds depth, it adds greater understanding for yourself. You really go into the circuitry, understanding the way it moves through the body graph. Everything is energy moving, right? That's what we are in time. We're energy, form, that's being held into a construct of a human body that has awareness. And then we're moving through time on this planet that's moving incredibly fast through the universe, which is expanding outward. And by understanding how the energy moves in our own uniqueness, our design, we can stay more tuned to that. So you learn the 9 centers, the not self, and its 9 strategies. Not self is simply not you. So we get a lot of storytelling about the not self. It gets grandiosized into something really big, and all it is not you. And the dilemma of the not self is easily resolved by returning into your own strategy and your authority, into your consistency, your design. We learn about definition. We learn about authority. Like I was saying, I'm splenic and Andrea is emotional. Some people will respond from their sacral. I forget the exact amount of authorities there are, but they're, what is it? It's sacral, spleen, emotional, ego, G, and then mental.
And the lunar authority, so.
And lunar, exactly, yeah, thanks. Yeah, our 1%ers of reflectors. And then the angles and the 12 profiles, right angle, left angle, and juxtaposition, and the 12 profiles. Fascinating stuff. Again, layering in depth and understanding of how each of us differentiate.
This is a big course. This is twice as long as the previous 2 courses. So there's actually 2 student manuals. You can see the last one was volume 1. Here's volume 2. And there's prerequisites.
Yeah, you can see there that what we've been doing, we're building in our layers. We already had a prereq for ABCs. And once you've finished your ABCs, you automatically are ready to go into the cartography course. It's recommended that you have the software. It's a lot more fun. I mean, if you can just go and run a chart right away, or save charts, do charts of your family and your friends, and and people you've worked with, colleagues, all these things. It's helpful to have the software. The student edition is one that is less expensive and gives you your basic information of being able to run a chart. But then there's also the online. Andrea knows a lot more about the my bodygraph.
Yeah, and at this level, it's nice to have my bodygraph because it allows people to hear. If you're buying the My Bodygraph fully unlocked edition, what you get is everybody's chart that you're looking at, and limited charts, but all of them are unlocked with Ra actually talking about each of the gates, each of the channels, each of the nodal environments. And when I was first starting to do practice sessions as a student, what I would do is go in there and listen to each person's gates and activations that Ra would tell me about, and then I'd start to see a picture and see patterns and be able to articulate it clearly to somebody who's coming to me, you know, wanting to have the depth for them to be able to source from. It really is helpful, and that's one thing that the student software doesn't offer is hearing Ra in his own words describe the components of someone's design. Now it's up to you to synthesize, and that's what you get to learn not only from these foundation courses, but in the upcoming advanced courses.
So here, I put this quote in from Ra because I think it really helps us to ground into what happens as you start going into the professional training. We have never been given an opportunity, such an opportunity, in a way in which the formula has played out. This is it. And you grab it while you can. And as I've said, the deepest part of this is to wait for your own magic. It is entertaining to be correct. It is entertaining to be your own authority. Many, many things change, and they change within you. They change within your biology. They change the way in which your whole system operates, and it changes your sensitivity to the world around you. It aligns you to what you are here to see. Because you're here to see something specific, right? Different from me. It gives you every opportunity to be able to rejoice in the discovery of this journey. So it's all about discovery. There is so much that hasn't been seen because nobody looks where they're intended to see. No one. We have a new world to look at with different eyes. Not eyes that are controlled, but the eyes of a unique authority. And that's this nine-centered awakening, this new being with a new way of life.
It is really profound, the shift that you make when you go through particularly this level of the training that Darshana is about to explain to you. And it's so incredible, I can't even describe it. This you get a sense of it from reading what Ra is saying here, but everybody's going to have a unique experience. And I hope that if it's something that's calling you, that you get to see the way that you're designed to see, because it is a delight and a joy and a journey of immense discovery.
So this is the professional training level 1. This is a 1 year long training. It's 3 semesters, and it proceeds over the course of a year. Each of the semesters is approximately 10 weeks long. I believe they're actually technically 11 because we have 1 week break within it. So time-wise, you'll have 11 weeks. And that means that there's weekly classes. There are different ways that people teach it. You know, each teacher is going to work in their own way. I teach 10 classes, and then I give 6 practicums, which are, all that means is like a workshop. And so the class is around 90 minutes, the practicums or workshops are around 60 minutes, an hour long. And that's then, sometimes I go more, it depends on how much information I have that I need to get across to people in terms of how many practicums. But this is sort of the minimum. Then there's also going to be the opportunity to work. One of the things I like to work with is wild mind writing, where you allow yourself to freely write, free associate writing on different parts of the bodygraph, if your authority or a channel or that sort of stuff. Because one of the things that was great, what Ross said, I mean, this is the science of differentiation. This is about you individuating, right? You as yourself. And the knowledge that comes through you is going to show up uniquely, just as the knowledge comes through me uniquely, and it comes through Andrea uniquely. And when we can begin to find that, what I was going to say was what Ross said, is that he says, ultimately, at some point, everybody should write their own, not should, could write their own Rave I Ching. You know, to look at each of the hexagrams and find your own understanding of it. So in working through the PTL, there's a whole series of things that you're going to be learning. The end of each semester, we do something, a reading of some sort, just to check in and see how you're grasping the knowledge. And then there is it's called the final reading exercise, but what it's just doing is giving you a chance, because you're not required to do a good reading then. You're only in your first year, and the professional training is a 2.5-year process, almost 3, I guess, with all the courses and the time in between. But it's just to really begin to get a feeling for it. And through the whole time, it's wonderful if you are giving readings to people as a student, you know, to say, can I do your chart? Can I read it for you? Just to begin, you will learn it. You know, you look up the channel and you're going, like Andrea was saying, looking up on my bodygraph and going, oh, wow. So that's that channel. The more that I remember when I was first learning, I don't have any emotional, I just, you know, not an awful lot on the emotional side of the design. I have one gate in the emotional center of the solar plex. And so I would always forget all the channels that were going over there. And so I did a lot of readings for people with emotional definition, so I could begin to learn them better and relate it to that person, you know, so that it kind of, you associate it with the experience of someone who actually has that frequency consistently present.
That is the best way to learn it. Absolutely. So what if you were to take this class? Can you imagine being able to take this to your friends, your family members, the people in your practice, if you're already dealing with people, you know, understanding or helping or guiding, assisting people with understanding themselves and who they are, how to make decisions correctly. It is an amazing journey. And this particular shift this year, about 2 years in, you get there around 2 years. It's really, really incredible.
Yeah. And it's a transformational time, you know. What I'm interested in is, I mean, this is my design, is to be in service and guide others into individualism, into unfolding as themselves. And so when I have students, what I'm really interested in is your own growth, your own unfolding, your own awakening to your uniqueness. And through that, the gift of that, you will be able to support others in that process themselves. Whether you choose, again, to be an analyst or a teacher, or simply someone who says, oh, I've got this really cool thing I work with. Let's sit down and look at your design. So the course outcomes, you will become fluent in this working with the body graph. You will have a skill set in working with keynoting. The keynoting from Ra is powerful. When we know the actual words that came from his experience, from that we can individuate out. I call it going through the door or behind the door. Like you put the keynote of the channel of judgment. You put the keynote of that on the door, and then you open the door and you go inside and you look around and you begin to experience your way of meeting that frequency, that unique energetic. So the keynoting is a very powerful thing because it gives us a common language, a common anchoring in with the knowledge that then we can individuate out with, but returning back to the keynoting that we were given through the information, through the transmission that Ra received. Okay. You then, what does it say? You will move from listing information, right? Then it becomes poetry. Then it becomes art. Then you actually look at someone's design and you just start, well, you'll each work in your own way. I flow with it. You know, I just wander through the body graph and watch it unfold through the energetic of meeting with another being too, because their energy, you will be, that's one of the things to remember when you're working with someone, meeting, or when you're in a relationship with anybody else in their aura, is it's already happening. The energy is moving between the two of you. What were you going to say, Andrea?
I remember this profound shift in my awareness when I finally heard you. I don't know how many times you told us, but I heard you say, you know, don't take those words and just parrot them. Take the words, the keynotes, and go to the source. What did he mean by that? You know, articulate it in your own language and be able to understand where it's coming from. And that's where the synthesis starts to happen, so that you are fluent and you can describe to another. When you're in awe with them, it's particularly delightful, but even over the internet or on the phone, describing to them what it is that you're seeing in their chart and asking for their ability to share stories or identify or not, you know, with whatever it is that you're telling them. And that's where you really learn, and there's a lot of magic there.
And everything's in relationship. It's a matrix, you know, everything is in relationship with the other. So you can't, that's the drawback of the written reports that you can buy online. They're useful, they're absolutely useful, but they don't integrate the fullness of a being, you know, that if I'm tribal logic, you know, I'm not just tribal or not just logical. I'm a logical tribal being, or a tribal logical being, you know, and that's a lot different than just someone with only a logical channel, for example. Everything becomes flavored or, let's say the word modified, by the full design itself. A third line instead of a first line, or instead of a second line in the profile. So you will learn and become proficient in these tools and concepts of looking at the body graph holistically as a hologram, and then see how this science of differentiation functions and the gift of it, and be able to communicate that. Another raw quote: the goal of this course is to create highly skilled professional analysts who can easily take their place in the global professional class, using a standard training method that allows for uniqueness in both learning styles and analytical methods, while simultaneously training all students to a uniform, quantifiable level of excellence. You know, and that's why there's a lot of people who have expanded out and begun doing their own unique way of working with human design, or maybe not even calling it that anymore, renaming it for themselves. But when you come back to the original structure, then you can actually individuate out, again, as I was saying before. But you can say, I'm a certified professional at IHTS, so that we know that there is a level of professional knowledge and education and grounding in the work that you do.
The amount of time that it takes to ground all of this level of information in your body, in your awareness, in your life. It is this way for a reason. It may seem like, oh, we have a lot of people that come to us and say, I want to get certified right away. What's the fastest way I can start working with this knowledge? And you can start working with it right away in your practice, and you know, using whatever tools that you have. But as far as the certification is concerned, the reason why it's this length and it's layered in this way is because there's a profound shift that happens over time. And Ross specifically made these classes so that they cannot be taught by recording. That's not what we want to do with you. We want to take you through this journey live, in form, answering your questions as they come up, making sure that you're really supported in your experience. And so you might find less expensive, quote unquote, human design classes out there that are not IHDS certified. And there's nothing wrong with taking those. If that's the teacher that you're really drawn to, then that may be for you according to your authority. But what we offer here is very, very different. And the levels were developed over years, where Ra was able to see what really worked and how he could get this grounding out in the world in a way that was protected and able to really make a big difference, a big impact through the logical structure, making sure we're all grounded in the very logical structure of design.
And practical. You know, he was a 5'1". He wanted it to be
useful,
practical.
So what if for you had this level of training? What would that mean to you?
Well, when a student completes this course, then the certification exams must be almost an afterthought due to the level of familiarity they have with their keynoting and their own unique style. I've taught 2 PTL4, which is the final exam courses. And what I have seen, which with every one of the students who go through the full training and come to the PTL4, is a real level of depth of understanding of design. And that's what you're doing, you know. Here you are in this process of an education, but you're learning a system, a tool, a mechanical orientation that allows for you to fluidly and fluently work with it. We have new cells every 7 years. I mean, we have a new body every 7 years. We actually renew all of our cells and all that sort of stuff within a 7-year period. And there is a requirement that you cannot be certified until you've reached your 3.5 years from your first human design reading, because that's when you begin the experiment. We assume that that's what would be done, is that once you have the knowledge, you will begin experimenting with your strategy and your authority.
And that foundation reading comes right before you do Rave ABCs, which is the first professional level of training. So it begins right around there. They're going to be very strict about making sure that you've had time to process and integrate this information into your life. So occasionally there are people who will do intensives, and you can do all of these foundation classes in a couple of weeks or maybe over a couple of months. And so that would shorten your training time. But even if you reach to PTL4, if you've not reached that 3.5-year mark, they're going to postpone your certification for a little bit longer.
And I can tell you, it took me years before I had the capacity to synthesize it. I'm a projector. I like to go very deep, and Ra used to, I think they still do that, give discounts to, or rebates to projectors, because they need to study so much. You know, it's something that we're here to really know the other. And so we really know human design on a depth that, well, I can't speak for what the other types do because I'm only a projector. I don't know what it's like to be something other than myself. But here you see students graduating from this course will have the skills to reveal detail, big picture, synthesize the information from any entry point, which is kind of fun. You can start at any point in the design and build out a reading for someone. To keynote effectively. And it's, you know, from the very beginning, so long ago, I've been doing this so long, I have recordings of all the readings that I've done, every single one of them, unless, of course, obviously I was doing little mini ones at exhibition fairs, or, you know, in someone's, at dinner at somebody's house or something like that. Then it's not technically a reading, but it's really good to, because do you remember your own reading, all of you? Do you remember it, how it is? You know, you hear it and you're just, whoa, there's so much. And then afterwards you're going, I have no idea what you just said to me. And so then you want to hear the recording again. You know, it's like, I need, you know, I have, my first reading was done by Linda. And I still go back sometimes and listen to it. I have readings done by Ra, and I was re-listening to one of them recently, and just like, wow, I had no idea that's what he was meaning or saying at that time. So it just keeps going in deeper and deeper all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the information and technical detail is very important. And it isn't about the information and the technical detail, because it's possible to have every piece of information ever delivered about human design 100% memorized and still not be able to deliver a reading that's actually going to be impacting or really moving another being. So this is a logical, organized, and integrated system, and the mind will want to make it You know, our minds are confusing, complicated, fragmented. So these courses, they're effective at revealing how you have made and will continue to make life hard, full of resistance and difficult. We do. It's just what we do. You know, and we learn to watch it and have compassion for it. Have compassion for ourselves. It's part of the journey.
Definitely. It is a very big part of the journey.
So it's important to know why you will be doing this. And that may change as you progress through the program. I remember I thought at the beginning, I'm not ever going to teach this. There is one and only one reason to do this. Your inner authority confirms that this is the activity and the time and this person. So your mind can have all kinds of stuff about whatever, but your inner authority or your authority, there's a couple types that, authority types, there's 2 authority types that are not, or 3, I guess, self-projected and mental, and then the lunar reflector authority that's outer, or called outer. But so your authority, your own authority, is what will guide you. Trust it.
Yeah, I remember coming to this point around Rave Cartography thinking, there's no way I'm going to memorize all this stuff. I don't think I can do this. And the thing that got me into professional training level 1 was, first of all, that you were teaching it, and I wanted to continue that journey with you, but also that I wanted the transformation for myself. I had a glimpse of what it could mean to know what all these things were in the chart and how to use them in my own life and as well as with the other.
So onward we go. We've just done a year of the first level, and that's giving you really all the things you need to make a solid foundational reading for someone. Then we start layering in other aspects of it, and this is what I call the not me, the part of it, life cycles. We have transits. We have, you know, you've probably seen the emails that come through from IHTS called the daily transit field. Every moment there's another uniqueness that is being expressed in the consciousness field, in the neutrino stream, the neutrino ocean. And so there's the daily movement, there's the solar year, there's your Saturn return when you're around 28, your Uranus opposition when you're close to 40, your Chiron return when you're 50. We learn these. We learn to mark a life. You can actually see the path that you're going to, the field of weather, you could call it, that you'll be moving through and learning from as you journey to fulfill your purpose. And then, you know, what's it like when I'm with you? What's it like when you're with your mom, your dad, your partner, your child, your friends? What happens? To begin to, the gift of that, you begin to understand who they are and who you are and why it gets confused or merged, or why suddenly, just today somebody was here and she's very strongly tribal. And integration, if you know what that means. There are 2 different types of channels. And her man is completely individual. And she was feeling very frustrated because she wanted more tribal from him. And he's simply individual. He has no, you know, and so if you can begin to support people to see, you know, he can't. He's helpless in the mechanics of his design. He can begin to try and compromise or work together with somebody, be aware of what's happening in the other, just like you can become aware of what's happening in the people around you and what happens in you when you're around them.
Yeah.
So this is what this year of training is about.
Yeah, this is really cool when you get into the juicy partnership analysis and life cycles, and you get to see the keys and the codes to your interactions with others and the interaction of you with your life. Boy, is it so much fun.
So connection is how to do it, what to include, how to empower your clients and help them understand each other. I don't know, I've done a lot of connection readings, and this is the chart of Ra and the voice. Look how full it was. when you can begin to understand that and support people in beginning to understand each other, what a difference it makes. You know, we're helping to make a difference. Parents with their children, how to understand, to respect and honor a uniqueness that is there and needs to be supported. All these things. At IHDS, there's 3 of us who teach the PTL1 course, and I'm starting a new one in May, a new PTL1, and then I'm continuing on with other students who have been going through the process, and we're reaching PTL3 now. So it's a progression on each of these courses. And this is where it's like your foundation reading in hyperdrive or something, or like somebody really revealing the depth of your purpose, which is what the incarnation cross shows you. So these are the practical details of that. And at the end of the, or towards the end of the class, I usually have people, they've been working on a reading through the class, you know, because there's all the details that are being presented as we move through the course. And then I always try and put in the last couple classes the opportunity for people to do a reading. It's really fun to listen to other people and the way they work. You learn a lot by hearing existence being expressed through another person in an area that you're interested in understanding and learning. There's that benefit taking the course, and also so the knowledge that you gain, but you also begin to see how design lives through other people.
And this is, I really want to say something about how profound the connections that you can build with other people in going through this training with them. That's another benefit you get with going through a live process where there's other students from all over the world who are here to have the experience with you, being able to articulate for each other, you know, the things that you're going through, and to have that camaraderie and the shared journey is so amazing.
Yeah, Andrea was part of a training with me that it became a bit smaller. People dropped out over the time, you know, as it was correct for them. And then there was this small group of women that was all projectors except for one incredibly beautiful manifesting generator. And we're all very close still. It's really nice. So here's the PTL4. And this is simply my supporting you in being able to do a solid foundation reading. So that's what the whole course is step by step. There is actually a protocol that you are given, that you learn starting out in the PTL1. And we come back to it now in PTL4 and begin to tighten it up. And like that one slide said, you know, there's so much to say. There are so many things you can share with someone. But what are you going to say that's going to allow them to go out the door and begin their experiment or have an understanding of their design? And it's going to really make an impact, a difference in their life. So these are the details of that. You know, you guys will be able to get a copy of this recording, and I think you said a PDF, didn't you?
Yes, we want
Andrea?
to give them the PDFs, and you'll be able to click on each of the class pictures and to be taken to the description so that you can learn more, see when the next one's coming up, and so forth.
Yeah, so you'll be able to review these things if you have questions about it, like what was it you learned in PTL4, or what? And so, I mean, these are very brief slides, but it gives you an overview.
And in this class, you get to take everything that you learned and synthesize it and distill it down into its essence of what's absolutely imperative that you communicate to that other. There's no new information presented here. It is all about honing your skills and being able to pass your exam and being able to really make a difference in the other person's life.
Yeah, and I remember when I first thought about being certified as an analyst, and I'm a third line. I have a lot of rebelliousness in my design, and sense of individuality, even though I don't have any individual circuitry defined. But I remember thinking, I don't want to have to take a test. So the way that I teach this is it's totally not about taking a test. It's about supporting you in having the gift of being able to make a difference in someone else's life. That's all. Effective, elegant, simple way.
And it is the most gratifying, fulfilling, amazing work I could have ever imagined, to be able to speak with so many different people from all walks of life and share with them what this particular system has to offer them. So we have a question. Could you please explain for us, Darshana, what a foundation reading actually is?
Yeah, and that's what you learn in PTL 1, which is basically there is the introduction. You know, somebody's sitting there, they're looking at this image, the bodygraph, and you give them an introduction to what it is. So that's what we call the intro. That's on the foundation reading. Then you go into what is defined within the design, the definition, because that's what gives them then their type and their strategy and their authority. So by giving them the definition in the foundation reading, you're supporting them in having something that they can turn to over and over again to make decisions as themselves. And then we move from the definition to the openness, because that's where the other shows up. That's where what is not us comes through and can distract us, can condition us, can lead us into the shadow world of the past and fears and projections about the future and all these things. And we give the resolution to the client, which is returning back to their strategy and authority. And then we talk about the profile. So those are the steps that we go through: the introduction, the definition, which gives them type, strategy, and authority, the openness and what the potential dilemmas of the openness are, and the resolution for that, and the profile, and then we give a summary. That's a foundation reading.
And now, hopefully, that we are at the end of this PTL, the professional training levels, you can see what kind of effort it takes to become a human design analyst. It is not an easy road. It does take time. It does take time from you to be able to not only have the experiences of classes, but to study, to practice. And there's another question. Can teens apply this knowledge, human design, BG5? Is that something that they can do? And absolutely. Working with children and teenagers is even a specialty. It's a specialty to be able to do child analysis or family analysis. And this knowledge is absolutely for children.
Yeah, well, I mean, imagine if you were a teenager and somebody gave you an understanding of, you know, that you need time because you have an emotional authority. And so to say to people, yeah, let me get back to you on that. Let me sit with it for a while. I need to move through my process with it, to give somebody permission to live their truth instead of being pressured by our world, you know, that says, come on, let's get moving and be successful and manifest things and do, instead of to be yourself.
Yeah, I did a reading for a girl who was 17 turning 18. Her mom had gotten the reading for her, and she really wasn't, you know, what are you talking about, Mom? What is this human design stuff? I don't be a little pessimistic about it. And that was perfect for a 3-5, an emotional projector like me, split definition like me. And I told her, it's a lot of similar activations too. I told her everything I wish somebody would have told me when I was that age, you know, that her melancholy was okay, that it was okay to be sad, it was okay to be moody, that it was okay to be emotional. You know, going through your whole life until I was about 35 years old, thinking that there was something terribly wrong with me, that I wasn't good enough as I was, and that the emotions were a bad thing. Profound.
Yeah. Teenage, anybody wearing a body, this is good for.
No matter what age. We have some additional recommended resources, the Rave Ching we recommend, and the Definitive Book of Human Design. Those are both available at Human Design America. When you get this PDF, you'll be able to click and be taken to where you can purchase them, either on Human Design America. If you're around the world, you might want to check with Jovian Archive to see where your nearest licensed source of official human design products are, if it's closer to you. Or there's also ebooks, and some of these ebooks you can click on, you'll be taken to where you can purchase them on Jovian Archive.
I think also the Definitive Book is on Amazon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so, and in different languages too. Different languages on Amazon, and IHDS,
Also
I was just about to say. IHDS sells this book too, and all of the ebooks that are part of your course material as well. Like Darshana mentioned, anybody who is a projector, if you send your information in, a proof of your birth, time, date, location, they are going to run your chart. If you are under, I believe it's 28, so under your Saturn cycle, or if you're a projector, you get a discount because for one, if you're younger, you probably don't have as much money as someone that older might. And then if you're a projector, you need to study a lot more. So you're going to need more resources. So particular items have a discount for you. That's the endowment that they call the Jovian Archive endowment. And it's also available on some items on IHDS as well. Anything else that you would like to add, Darshana?
Thank you for being here. Actually, thank you for allowing us to do what we love to do, which is share about human design. These are the links. Andrea is teaching the Living Your Design. She's just done an intro Living Your Design day on Sunday. She can better tell you this, but so she's starting up a new Living Your Design course, and I really recommend it. And then my courses are all, as of now, offered through, of the ones that we've looked at today, are offered through IHDS. And so that's where you can go and find me. And then that's also my website, the last one, humandesign.org.
Perfect. Yes, those links will be able to be linked from the PDF that you'll get with this recording. Here's our connection, our information. If you want to connect with us directly, our websites and our email addresses that will get you straight to us.
I don't think I have it up on my website yet, but I am offering a couple live courses. In October, I'm going to be teaching a course in Italy, in northern Italy, at a really beautiful retreat center on Lago d'Orta. We're up in the mountains above Orta. Charles, Italy? Yeah, do you know Lago d'Orta? It's up north of Milan, a little to the west, northwest of Milan.
In being able to join Darshana in person, boy, is that a fantasy or dream that I would love to see come true sometime for one of these events where we can all get together in Aura and explore this fabulous system and all the little nuances of being ourselves and the interactions that arise. It would be amazing. So why don't I go ahead and since we have some interest, other people in the chat would like it as well, I'll share that link in the follow-up email. So you guys will get a follow-up email that will have links to those different resources and events that are coming up.
And there'll be others. I mean, I just have to say this because I get so excited about it. But there's a place called Estivik, I think is its name, which is up at the polar circle in northern Sweden. I think it's in Sweden, might be Norway. Anyway, I'm going to, at some point in the next year or two, hold a course up there with the Northern Lights.
Oh, I've always wanted to see that.
Well, see, the thing is, we're right in the neutrino field, you know. I mean, we're so close. We'll feel them. We'll see them dancing around us. So anyway, that's one of my future courses. That first we'll do the mountains in Italy, and then we'll go to the top of the earth.
I want lots of lead time so I can prepare for that.
Yeah, it's going to be so profound. I'm really looking forward. Yeah. Okay.
Alrighty, great, wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining us, for being here. We hope you enjoyed yourselves. Look forward to seeing you in a future class. If you're attracted to this knowledge and attracted to us as teachers, if you'd like to join us on this journey, we are inviting you. We warmly welcome you with open arms and hope that no matter what you decide, no matter who you go with, that you always follow your own authority, that you allow yourself to be the amazing, delightful, radiant being that you really are, and we honor you for being on this journey with us, whether you take a class or get a reading or join us at all in person or not. If you're just listening to the recording, we love you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, really, much love. Thank you. It's a beautiful dance, you know. It's about when we can get to the point where we can let go of thinking we have to do something to be okay, to live out a good life, and that we can actually simply be ourselves and watch what shows up, because that's what I've experienced, that when you finally stop being attached to the way the structure of the mind that is so fiercely locked in on that you've got to be in control of what's happening. You've got to follow a rule. You've got to follow a belief system, follow a social, cultural, relational, and that you can start saying, no, that's not who I am, and begin to have relationships with people like us who say, and I honor that, and I will support you in living your truth.
And no judgments. It's such a relief to be able to let somebody in so deeply with saying, you know, this is who I am. This is what I'm experiencing in this body. Have you seen this in my chart? And this is what it's like. Like, that's amazing too, to be able to be supported in that way. So thank you for being one of those people, Darshana.
Yeah.
So,
all right, sweeties. Loved being with you. Thank you so much for with us. And onward we go. Come back to the next webinar so we can be together.
Yeah, that'll be happening soon. I'll make sure I send that one out too. All right, take care, everyone. Bye, Darshana.
Bye.